Okay, got it.
All right. The chat is on for YouTube.
Yeah, I'm waiting for done. Redirecting to YouTube.
Okay.
And let me take it off my
The chat is
platform.
on for YouTube.
Yeah, I'm waiting for done. Redirecting to YouTube. And Charlene, my co-host. Yes. Jimmy, why is Jimmy not a co-host? Oops. Cancel. Jimmy, my co-host. Yes. There we go. All right, let people in. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna wait to everybody that is in. We're gonna remind everybody to rename themselves. Put your district in the front. Okay, so good morning, everyone. We're gonna start now. This is the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council February calendar meeting. So welcome. Right. All right. Last month, I'm going to ask if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. We're going to ask everyone to mute themselves. Thank you. So last month, we celebrated Martin Luther King Day, reflection of his service and contribution to our country. We also had last month was the new year and also the Lunar New Year. And I hope everyone's new year is still going great and wonderful. Right now, we're gonna, on the screen, you should see the CPAC meeting procedures and standing rules. Just take a quick glance over that, and then we'll go over, summarize the norms for our meeting. So we're gonna ask again for everyone to wait till you're recognized before speaking. We're gonna ask people to be present. That's including in the chat. Stay on topic, on the topic of discussion. Of course, everyone maintain a professional, courteous, and respectful atmosphere. Jimmy, the first VP, is going to time 2 minutes or less. We have a really full agenda today, so we'll probably be more strict with the time so everyone get to participate, ask questions, concerns, speak to the agenda items. Again, we're going to do roll call now. So at this time, and we're going to ask everyone to put their districts, their president's council in front so everyone knows who's here, who's in the room. Excuse me, I can't find my pen. All right, so District 1, is District 1 here? District 1? District 2? So I'm gonna ask everyone to rename themselves again because I see stuff in the chat, and the attendance form will be placed in the chat for everyone to fill out as well. District 2. District 2. District 3.
Here.
Thank you. District 4. I saw it. District 5.
That sheet is here. Thank you.
District 5.
District 5 here. Here.
District 6.
Here. Good morning.
Good morning, Louise. District 7. District 7. District 8,
Present, good morning.
good morning. District 9, District 9. Okay. District 10, I thought I saw one for you.
Good morning, everyone. Maria Villalobos present.
District 11, District 12.
I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Church. Could you, if you can, someone rename her and put her district in front, please? District 13.
Good
I thought I
morning.
saw Celia. Hey,
Good morning.
District 14. 14. District 15. 15. Okay. 16.
Good morning. 16 is here.
Good morning. 17. 17. I don't think I saw front around card yet. 18. District 18. District 19. 19. Okay, District 20. District 20. 21. That's Randy.
Present, good morning.
District 22. I saw Lydia. 22. District 22. Okay, I guess she fell off. Not here. 23. District 23. '24. '24. District 25.
Good morning. Here.
Good morning, Francis.
Morning.
District 26.
Good morning.
District 27. So 22 is present. District 27.
Present, good morning.
Good morning. District 28.
Good morning, Adriana here for District 28.
Thank you. Good morning. 29. District 29. Okay. District 30.
Present.
District 31. District 31. All right. District 32. 32. District 75. District 75. Bronx High Schools. Bronx High Schools. Brooklyn High Schools. Brooklyn High Schools. I saw Manhattan High Schools.
Good morning, Manhattan High School here.
Good morning. Queens High Schools, that's myself, present, and Staten Island High Schools. Okay, so the attendance sheet is gonna be placed periodically. Again, as a reminder, your President's Council, your district in front, and we're gonna continue. So agenda, again, full pack. We're gonna hear from, we're gonna do our business, the minutes. We have 2 letters to review and potentially review. Got updates We're going to discuss the citywide Community Education Council candidate forums. Title I COPS will be presenting, giving us update from the state. Then we're going to get updates from FACE. Then we're going to have Melanie Mack, who's the Senior Director of Student Pathways. We're going to have the Chancellor. Then we're going to have the New York City Council Education Chair, Council Member Rita Joseph. And then we're going to have New York City Education Chair, Senator John Liu, to end our meeting today. So at this time, I'm going to ask everyone was sent the documents of on Monday. So let's go through this pretty quick. So we're going to review January's minutes. I know it says February, January 12th minutes. So take a few time, review it. And when you're ready, please make a motion or have concerns or questions, raise your hands. Corrections that need to be made.
Good morning. I can make a motion to adopt it if that's okay.
Okay, I guess, could you has your hands raised? Who's speaking? I'm sorry, I can't see.
Oh, it's Rosa.
Okay, so
My
Manhattan High
apologies, I
School's
didn't raise
mixed.
my hand.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just go to the next one. So Manhattan High Schools is making a motion to accept the minutes. Anyone would like to second that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have Manhattan High Schools. This is the top results. And District 3. Okay. Anyone opposes of us to adopt our minutes at this time? Don't have any corrections or concerns? All right, so our January minutes are adopted. Our first letter is from the high school committee, encouraging to reestablish the high school special education task force. Very short, to the point. At one point, there was a special education task force specifically for high schools. At this time, anyone would like to make a motion to adopt the letter?
District 28 motion to adopt.
Okay, okay, so I'm gonna have Rose, thank you, District 28. Rosa, I'm gonna let Celia, you're gonna second that? You have your hands
Yes,
up?
I'm seconding the motion.
All right, thank you. So we have District 28 for the motion and District 13 seconds it. Anyone opposes or chooses to abstain from this, from adopting this position letter, please state so now. I don't see any hands up. I don't hear. All right, so that letter is adopted. Thank you very much. So the next one is CPAC's resolution in favor of the New York State Education Committee and the City Council hearing holdings on the DOE planning process for class size reduction plan. So again, it's aligning with our resolution that was passed a few months ago, encouraging the DOE to create a small class task force. And if I don't know, a few of you may have seen that chalk beat that the chancellor did announce that he was going to do a small class task force. But at this time, anyone who would like to motion to adopt this letter? Okay, Manhattan High School, you have your hands up.
Yes, please. Thank you.
That's hands to motion to adopt.
Yes.
Thank you. Can I have someone to second that motion?
I'll second it.
That's District 3.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Anyone at this time who wishes to abstain or opposes to adoption of this? This one is actually written as a resolution. Any objections or wish to abstain for the record? Okay, so the letter has been adopted. That was from the legislative committee. All right. So moving right along. President's Council. I want to so everyone, we mentioned last time the interim financial report. Well, it has been extended for all PAPTAs and those president's councils who actually have a bank account. It has been extended to February 10th to submit your interim financial report, which is from July 1st to January 15th. And it should have been submitted to the principal's office for file for the principal's office. Any questions regarding that? Coming up shortly, all of us have to do candidate forums for the respective education councils. And we're going to discuss more about that. Oh, I jumped the gun. So that's where the budget is, about the interim financial report. Anybody has any questions regarding that, the interim financial report? These forms, if you don't have it on file or electronically, you can go to the DOE's website and you can get the forms for the interim financial report. Working group, CEC, we're going to talk about CEC elections. We're in the middle of the campaign period, which is the application process, and all the other ones are still waiting to start. The citywide CEP template meeting, we had Sharon Rensher last month, and the templates are done. We're going to start working for next year's CEP template for the next school year, and that's where we at. We met. We're going to meet later today, and we met 2 Thursdays ago. Our CPAC committees. So this a regularity now for most of them. The capacity building and support is the first Tuesdays of the month at 11:30. So it's once a month. Same thing with the communications. It's the first Tuesdays of the month, but that is at 10 a.m. The high schools is the first Friday of the month, and here are the actual dates of the dates of the high school committee is going to meet. The legislative met, waiting for the dates, waiting for the multilingual language learners committee. Special education will email the dates, upcoming dates today to the committee members. Title I had their January meeting. The next one is March 21st. The wellness committee narrowed it down to Wednesdays. Don't know which Wednesdays in time at this moment, but stand by. So most of the committees will have regular meeting dates, meeting schedules, so it's not sporadic. Reminder, again, all the news, all information, resources, signing up to the CPAC committees is on the CPAC website. So right now, learn, run, and vote. I'm going to give the floor to, I see Diane is here, Kai is here. Let me make y'all co-host. And Randy, in a limited capacity, is going to discuss candidate forums and applications in particular. Diane, you have the floor. Diana,
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Good morning, everyone. I will spend the next few minutes in, as Shirley mentioned, updating you on where we are with the plans for the candidate forums. Everyone here, all the presidents of presidents' councils and the members of the presidents' councils will partner with us in order to organize over 60 forums across the city, and the first forum will start on February 27th, and we will go all the way until April 20th. Please, again, mark your calendars for voting, and start talking about voting like right now. In every room you find parents. There's just like never enough reminders that voting will begin on April 21st and will end on May 9th. So please help us promote these elections, and we really are working towards having a lot of participation during voting this time around. Now let's start with the beginning, and let's let's talk about the forum calendar. And again, thank you again for your leadership, Shirley and Randy. In May, earlier than ever before, you helped us get a schedule of forums from every single President's Council. Now, I understand that since then, as we expected, leadership in some of the councils has changed. So we are absolutely open to making some modifications to this. To the schedule, but you have it. Thank you for linking it to attaching it to the email that you sent around. It has also been posted on our website, schools.nyc.gov/elections 2023. Please take a look there. If you see anything that that has to change, that doesn't work for you anymore, reach out to me and to Kai or to elections 2023 at schools.nyc.gov and let us know. And we will work with you in order to modify the dates. Next is I want to thank you to all of you who actually reviewed the toolkit. I want to thank you for your feedback. We have now a finalized version that we sent to translation. As soon as we get it back, we will circulate it to to all of you. Now we can go ahead, but yes, this is the schedule of the elections. Again, mark your calendars for April 21st when the voting starts. We can move the slide. But anyway, I will continue talking through this. So we will partner with you. We will partner with you in order to run some amazing candidate forums. What are those forums? This is an opportunity for all candidates to present their candidacy to the parents, to the voters. As a reminder, since 2021, all parents in DOE public schools get to vote. So we want to make sure that we have those forums will continue to be online, because we noticed last year that moving them online actually ensured a much higher participation than in the past. And just like before, we are going to record the forums. We're going to post them on our website, and they will also be linked to the voting system. So when you will all go in to vote, if you do not have your notes, or if you don't remember, the name of someone who you really liked during the forum, you can actually read their statements and review the video recording. We definitely will have interpretation services here, and with that in mind, last night we sent to all of you a very quick survey with basically two requests. One, for you to name the moderators. Now, here's a note on that. Generally, the president of the President Council is the moderator. We would like to have two moderators from each council. So, keep that in mind. But if any of you want to be a moderator, but you also applied for a seat on a CEC, even if it's not the CEC in the district in which you serve as the President's Council, we would, you cannot also moderate, right? So please select someone else, or if you're not the candidate, just enter your name and the name of someone else on the President's Council, and then we'll take it from there. We have scheduled a lot more prep sessions than any time in the past. We will have 8 prep sessions for moderators beginning on February 15th until April 5th at various times, some in the morning, some in the evening, some at noon, so that we can accommodate all all schedules. And so please participate. You don't need to participate to all 8. You just need to participate to 1, because they will be identical. So please, as soon as we will send those around, which should be this week, mark your calendar, register, and come to one of those sessions. What will those sessions actually entail? We will walk you basically through the toolkit, right? So that we can discuss, we can make sure that every piece is there, from the outreach materials all the way through a script that will take you minute by minute through the forums. Also keep in mind that we will also be there at the forums supporting you, so you will not be on your own, but we will give you a leadership role during the forums. The second question in the survey that we sent is about interpretation needs. So please try to respond. Thank you to those of you who responded immediately to the survey that we sent last night. So please do it as soon as possible. I think that the deadline is next week. Kai can correct me, but I think that the deadline is next.
The deadline, yeah, good morning, this is Kai. Yes, the deadline is February 15th.
Perfect.
So a day after Valentine's Day, please.
Please respond. You can respond today. Okay, that's perfect. I know that you might need a little bit of time to consult with your President's Council's members, and so please do that. Soon we will also, we will have seven prep sessions for the candidates. And the prep sessions are scheduled between February 25th through April 5th. Again, they will actually be pretty much 1 hour, on the same day, kind of same time, but an hour earlier or later after the President's Council's prep sessions. So what will we do? We will do 2 things during those prep sessions for candidates. One is, yes, a preparation for the forum. Many candidates this is probably the first time that they participate in a process like this. So we do not want anyone to be nervous or to feel that they cannot participate in the forum. So we will explain to the candidates what does a forum entail, advise them to prepare a short statement, and the type of questions that they should be prepared to answer. And secondly, and this is an improvement from previous prep sessions, prep sessions that were provided in previous years, and it's based on input that were received from the elections working group and from CPAC through Shirley and Randy. We will talk in a lot more detail about the roles and responsibilities of the CECs, so that we would have better prepared candidates, and then better prepared CEC members from July 1st when everyone will take their seats, when the term will begin. And yes, at the prep sessions we will have, because we have on our team of consultants a number of former CEC members. We ask her, clearly not running, we ask them to form a panel and just have a conversation with the candidates and answer questions about their own experience. So it's not just DOE presenting to parents what they should expect from service in the CEC, but it will be like former parent leaders who will share what their experience is, and they're coming from from several boroughs and districts, so probably the experience is not I'm responding to my presentation is actually over, but I saw a question. I would like, if I have your permission, to address it. Yes, we want to make sure that candidates are not using a DOE platform to basically campaign or to introduce themselves to a larger audience through the forums that we are organizing. So our strong suggestion would be, for your own benefit also, that that you keep your campaigning away from the responsibility to moderate a forum, because at the same time, even if it's in a different district, as you know, candidates can run for more than one council, which means that you might be moderating in a forum where your competition is presenting, even though it's in a different council, in a different election. Happy to talk some more offline. You have my email address. If you have any questions, you can also email our general email address, elections2023@schools.nyc.gov, or me or Kai directly.
Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today.
Thank you. Can you stay a little bit longer?
Of course.
If anybody has questions in the chat, we're going to move it right along with our thing. Could you stop sharing? Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop sharing for you. So that was about candidate forums. And again, if you have any questions for Diana or Kai, they are still here on this platform.
Can you have her put her email in the chat?
Yeah,
because there's a question is, where's her email at?
Definitely.
Yeah, they saw it. They're going to put it. Give them time to write it. Answer the questions in the chat. So now we're going to move it along, and we're going to have Naquan McLean. He's one of the Title I cops, to give us updates regarding Title I. So you have the floor, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you for inviting me. I apologize. I'm traveling, but this was important, so I wanted to make sure that I jumped on. So I'm not going to really focus on the Title I cops piece today, but want to focus on what we've been hearing around Title I in schools. So a couple of things that we have done, when I say we, the Title I cops, along with the steering committee, have been speaking to Sharon Ranchard about concerns raised by parents around the Title I, the 1%, but not also the 1%, but the 99%. So one of the things that we're going to ask from you all today is, as we are in these conversations with the central DOE, and we know that there's going to be some paper audits done in every district. If it has not started yet, it will be starting shortly, is to send us any concerns that you have. We have heard from several districts, and we are now in the process of setting those districts up with a conversation with Sharon Ranchard. And then from that conversation with Sharon Ranchard, there will be a conversation with that school, that district superintendent, and from that superintendent to that school's principal around making sure that Title I is being done appropriately in our schools. So that's one of the things. But what we also are trying to do is trying to gather information around people's experiences with Title I as we are preparing to write a report that we will be sending to the federal government and also the state government around Title I and New York City parent concerns. Also, I would like to uplift that we need to continue to push the DOE to update Chancellor Reg 655, which is the Chancellor Reg that deals with SLTs. That committee that was dealing with it, or that working group that was dealing with it, has been placed on hold. And we are really pushing to make, since 2018, to make Title I chairs a mandatory member on the SLT, and that has been stalled again. So we're going to be asking you all to talk to your Title I PACs and to your DPACs so that we can push the DOE to really get this working group back up, so that we can make sure that it's not an invitation, but that it's a requirement for Title I chairs to be on the SLT. I'm not sure, Shirley, if there's anything else that you want me to uplift. But
No.
that's what we
Yep.
are working on at this time. I'm going to, when I finish speaking, I'll put our email address in the chat for those of you who would like to send us any concerns or questions or comments. But I will ask and say and recommend that the same way that you all meet quarterly with the with the CECs, I think it is time for us to now make sure that our uh, um, that we're also meeting with the DPACs in the district, that the President's Council are meeting with the DPACs, because there are major challenges that are happening in schools. And if all of us parent leaders come together, we can really identify those challenges and work together to fix them. Once again, thank you for the time. I'm here to take any questions. Shirley, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Naquan. Very good. So yes, so the A655 working group is one of those groups, as you see, that are not in session right now. So please encourage that, because it's very important, not only, of course, to have the, the mandatory member of Title I, but that is also an issue, but it hasn't been updated for over 10 years. So it needs to overhaul that A655. And then again, the partnerships and collaborations we've been talking together between the education councils and Title I, we're all parent leaders working for the same goal, but different branches with the same achievement goals. So please, strengthening those partnerships is very important. In Title I, most of 86, I think, Naquan, I don't know if you, the percentage of our schools are Title I schools. So, so the majority of our schools, but every district has a DPAC, right? So there's at least one Title I school in each district. And they're a very important factor. And they also, along with PAPTAs, are on the ground. And family engagement is their primary focus, right? So we should get work together. So thank you so much, Naquan, for that. He is okay. So Miss Jimmy, you have your hands up. You have a question?
Yes, when you think about every district have a DPAC, that include every Title I high school that is in their district is to come to the DPAC of the elementary and middle school DPAC, so that they can receive their information. Even though they're high schools, they need to be there.
Thank you for uplifting that. Yes, districts are 3K to 12. They don't stop at 8th grade. The district is all stages of the academic career of the students. So yes, high schools should be attending. If you're a high school that's a Title I, they should be going to the DPAC. I'm gonna say for District 26, District 26 don't have that many Title I schools, and it's only high schools that are Title I, and they're the ones who are in the DPAC. So it's very important that every Title I school, Title I PAC chair, their alternate, go to the DPAC so they can get information, resources, updates on regarding Title I. Thank you so much. And again, Naquan is here. You could put any further questions in the chat. We're moving, we're like early now. I'm gonna give it to Face. I'm gonna turn the floor to Dr. Melendez, who's the Executive Director of Face. She's been consistently here on every meeting, but I also want to acknowledge that, oh, and I see Jesse is here now too. Jesse is here, Jesse Mojica, who's the Senior Director, but our Face liaison for CPAC is Anthony Settle, and he's been here at every meeting, and he's on the platform right now as well. So it's Christina, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. I'm actually in transit as well, and I'm going to have Jesse do the updates. Jesse is actually my Deputy Executive Director now, and so he's going to share some FACE updates. But one that I wanted to lead with was that we have been having conversations with previous members of A655 working group, and we are excited to restart that working group. So more information to come. There's going to be a preliminary meeting just to get the old group together and have a conversation about how to move forward, but just stay tuned for that. Jesse?
Thank you, Christina, and good morning, everyone. Always a pleasure to be here at CPAC and see everyone, and Just wanted to lead with a few updates. So as Dr. Melendez said, we will be reconvening our conversations with A655 and more information to come there. I wanted to lead with just a few updates over the last couple of months. So just wanted to let everyone know that in January, we had completed several town halls in January in districts 25 and districts 30, and with the Citywide Council on English Language Learners. This week, in February, we on Tuesday had a town hall hosted by the Citywide Council on High Schools with the Chancellor, and that was Tuesday. And we are in preparations for our next town hall, which will be on February 13th, which will be in District 14. So we thank all of the councils and all of the districts and all of their support in having and hosting these town halls. They're an important part in our outreach to our community and understanding what the issues are in every respective district, as well as the citywide issues. So wanted to thank all of the respective councils that I have mentioned previously for all of their support in engaging with town halls. And I believe after we have a town hall in CC 14, I think we have 11 more throughout the course of this academic school year. Also wanted to acknowledge, I know that our colleagues from the election team were here prior to Christina and I just updating on the candidate forums and the election process. Just want to kind of echo that as well, and just kind of continue to encourage the sharing of the information candidates to apply to serve on either district or citywide council. As everyone here knows, the opportunity for service is a tremendous opportunity to be able to reflect the issues faced throughout our system. And we definitely, work in partnership with all of our parent leaders. So we definitely encourage those who are interested to apply to serve on an education council. So I know that Diana had shared this before, but then right after the application period, we will go through the period of the candidate forums, which are the 27th through April 20th, and then the voting period from April 21st through May 9th. So, and obviously, President's Council and members of CPAC play a critical role in the success of the campaign and the success of those candidate forums. So we thank you in advance. Thank you in the past for your tremendous support and help in ensuring that the process went well. And we continue to thank you for your continued partnership as we proceed with the election. Also wanted to share with all of the council members some of the professional developments that have happened since we've last spoke. So in January, we had a professional development on RESO-A funding. This is the funding that many elected officials have and are available to communities. So we had our Senior Executive Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, Mark Traeger, who presented for our community education councils on the process of RESO-A funding. And that went really well, as with all of our professional developments, with the exception of maybe a few, and I'll explain that in a second. They're all recorded, so we do have those available at Parent University for those that are interested in finding out more, interested in seeing them, and or who could make the dates that they were on, so we can definitely share that. We also, and many of you here have had the opportunity of working with, in the past, David Mensa. We have re-engaged with David Mensa. David Mensa is, a tremendous leader, in his field. He has worked primarily in leadership development and has worked with our office for many years. Some of you on this call have probably taken the Parent Leadership Institute, or were part of the Parent Leadership Institute that Mr. Mensa led a few years back. So David has agreed to work with us again. And he has developed a two-part series on the opportunity of conflict. The first part was in January, and the second part will be this Monday, February 13th. So we'll definitely share that information toward the end of our conversation. So those interested in participating in that session, we welcome that. Also wanted to thank once again, this is a partnership. We cannot do this work without you, cannot do this work without our parent leaders, and wanted to publicly thank Camille Casaretti for her presentation, professional development on resolutions. So Camille was very generous with her time in presenting on resolutions earlier this month. And we thank Camille for just the time that she had given us and her expertise in the field. The professional developments are always much better when we have the experts doing them, and the experts are the parent leaders. So we thank Camille for all of her service in the presentation on resolutions. Also wanted to mention that Christina and I have been visiting schools, and wanted to share that if there is a school that the members of CPAC are interested in us visiting, please send those recommendations to us. We've been receiving recommendations from parent leaders on schools that we should visit, schools that are doing, tremendous work in a particular area or have a particular need, and you would like Christina and I to visit. We would be happy to do so. Recently visited Passages Academy in the Bronx, and this is a District 79 program that works with students who, are, potentially going to be incarcerated or are, awaiting sentencing, and really kind of understanding that process, understanding what the families go through in that process, understanding how we support our students who are, in the legal system, and how we continue to provide education and support and guidance for them, and social emotional support. So it is very important to Christina and I that we, see programs that maybe many people don't know a lot about, understand what their needs are, bring those needs back to leadership. So we're having a conversation from what we have garnered from Passages and what they shared with us as to what some of their needs were. And so Christina and I bring that back to leadership and have a conversation. So we visited Passages. We're looking to visit, more schools. I know that I also visited 138M in Manhattan, which is a school that serves our District 75 students, special needs students, and was able to meet with the PAPTA there at the school. Once again, and it's very important for us as we go to the schools. We visit with the administration, but we also want to visit with the parent coordinators. We want to visit with the school leadership, and understand, what one, their concerns are, understand what they need, what supports they need. So once again, if there are schools that the members of CPAC would like us to visit, I know that another school that Christina and I visited, and it was at the recommendation of a parent leader, was the Bloomingdale School, I believe on 105th Street on the Upper West Side. And where that school really, for us, it was, very informative, because that is a school that is receiving a lot of our asylum seeker families. And to kind of see on the ground level, we've read a lot about what some of the needs are, but reading and seeing them and hearing what the individuals who are working directly with our families and understanding the trauma that many of the families have been suffering in their journey here is something that we need to know more about. So it was, Christina and I visited there, really saw firsthand and heard firsthand from the administration some of the logistical challenges that they've been having, just as far as support and enough space, literally just stories of heroism there. Principal, teachers, literally just doing everything that they could to take care of families and working with community partners to do so. So that was important information for Christina and I, and there were asks in that visit, for her and I to help and follow up with. So once again, we are very happy to go wherever you recommend us to go to see and to visit, whether it's a concern, whether it's a model, a school model, a practice that you have seen that is just something that you would like to really highlight and have us go. Please share with Christina and I where you would recommend us to go. And I will pause there. I know I spoke very quickly, but I will pause there for any questions. But once again. Yeah, and I'm sorry, Christina, go ahead.
And no, it's fine. And speaking of questions, we did receive your questions. We are waiting on one response, and then I should be sending those over to your CPAC co-chairs, Shirley and Randy, so that they can send it to the membership, as well as we got responses for the letter you shared or reshared from the previous administration as well around your D79 website thoughts and feedback that you wanted to provide. And so we also have that response. But ultimately, there is a commitment to really understanding what the needs are at the D75 space. The superintendent, Esperance, is really interested and excited in having conversations about what was raised in the letter, and having a thought partner and a focus group with CPAC to really unpack what's going on. So that formal response is also coming your way once that question is answered. And my understanding is that today I will be able to do that by close of the end of day. So just know that that's coming.
Thank you, Christina. And I defer to you, Shirley, and to Randy, and to the members of the council. If there are any questions?
Thank you. Yeah. I'm not sure what District 15 is asking. You want contact information for the DOE, or are you talking about CPAC members?
Yeah, just everyone at this meeting. So if we have follow-up questions or we want to connect with people on anything, is there just a list that has, I'm sorry, I'm new to all of this. This is my first.
No,
So
it's not a
forgive me.
problem.
But just
So-
like a contact list, so we can do follow-ups, or if there are questions, just a list with everyone here.
Normally
Email address.
okay, so for the members is the Google group, which you get the link from.
Everyone at the meeting. So that would include Mr. Medina and Ms.
So
Melendez.
that's DOE, that's separate. So usually they put their contact information in the chat and members take a note of it. It also
Okay, so that's there now?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're putting
wasn't
it
there
now.
before.
Yep, and then it's on the minutes as well. They come regularly. So
it's in the minutes. That was
the
that's
old minutes. If you look at the minutes that we passed today, their email addresses are there.
Okay, so everyone who's at, I was just wondering if there was a system for this. So everyone who's at this meeting, who comes to the meeting, their email addresses will be in the minutes.
Well, no, those who share their email address in the chat. So right now you'll see Jesse, Melina, Diane from FACE for the CC elections. They put their information in the chat. It could be in the minutes, but if you're using a DOE email account, right? If you have a DOE email, if you type in people's names, their email addresses pop up. Everybody in the DOE.
No, that's fine. I just felt rather than hunting and pecking, if we had a system where maybe on the minutes, I'd be happy to do it. If we could just collect whoever, so that we can then follow up and actually take action after if necessary. But thank you so much. I just wanted to also ask Dr. Melendez if she's stuck anywhere around that funeral procession. Because I was stuck for an hour trying to get home, almost an hour.
Yeah, no, I mean, I made it I just made it here. I was in another parent leader event, but thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And then if you go to the website, there's email addresses of all the president's councils and certain emails, addresses of certain individuals, the website, all that is on CPAC's website as well. So
I don't know if it would be too much work, but it would be great if in the minutes, the people who attended, there was follow-up contact.
Well, I'm not going to enforce that on the recording secretary, but everyone here should be taking notes and formulating their information that they would like. But certain emails are addressed there. So remember, they're volunteers, so we're not gonna push them to, but most of the time, the email addresses are in part of the minutes as well. All right, so Miami High Schools put their email address in the chat as well, but you can find all President's Council's emails on our website. So I'm stalling a little bit because I don't see Melanie Mack here. She is here to do the next, is supposed to be the next one to do their presentation. So we had Title I and we had FACE, and she's going to talk about student pathways. So Anthony or Christina or Jesse, Is Senior Director Mack is here? I don't see her in the chat. And we got 5 minutes. We're 5 minutes earlier too, so. Anybody knows who's I don't see her no more. Cheyenne Tull. Is she's from that office? Face, y'all can tell me or not. No. Any other questions or about the CC elections while we have 4 minutes? Because the next speaker will be the Chancellor at 11, but at 10:30 is we're going to talk about student pathways. Okay, Cheyenne is on our team. Okay, thank you so much. How about Melanie Mack? Anybody from her team is here? Xavier?
Shirley, just, I'm so sorry, letting you know that Anthony is reaching out to her now, so we're hopeful to have an update momentarily.
Okay, thank you so much. So any questions regarding the Citywide Education Council? Or we have those elections going, but soon, this is February, some of our PAPTAs are starting their election seasons with creating a nominating committee. For spring elections, the PAPTAs should have nominating committees. Are we having those discussions at our president's councils? Some of our PAPTAs have elections in April, some do it in May, and some does it in June. We are preparing our associations to be ready for the spring elections and having conversations on conducting elections.
Shirley, can I just share something really quickly?
Of course, it's you can go ahead.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. I don't think we say that enough, and I just want you all to know that there's this strong commitment that comes from all of you to really be supportive on the ground with all of our PAs and PTAs, and there's a lot of things that come up and bubble up to our space, and you guys are always the first line of support that we reach out to, along with FLCs and FSCs in the district. But your response, your level of commitment, your commitment to asking questions, to getting resources, to holding us accountable, to providing you supports at the moment you need them has been instrumental to ensuring that so many families and parent leaders on the ground are successful in what they're doing, that families are getting the things they need, and you guys are incredible advocates to that space. We are very, very grateful to it. I think one of the important parts of visiting schools is that we hear just how much our parent leaders are such an instrumental part of this work. So not only are you recommending us to visit these schools, but you're also such integral parts of the school community. And I know you know that, and I know that's your commitment, and I know that you do it without any pay or accolades, but I wanted to be very clear on this platform and take a moment to just be very grateful to all of you and say thank you for all that you do, and that I really hope that you take time to take care of yourselves as well, because that's also important. We can only do as much as we have the energy for. So always recharge your batteries. And I know that's hard sometimes because you invite me to events on Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays. So just be mindful of that. Thank you, Shirley.
All right, thank you so much. And that was perfect because Melanie is logging in right as we speaking. Let me just find her in the part so I could make her a co-host. Okay, Melanie. All right, I'm going to share my screen again so everybody knows. Again, so Melanie Mack, who is the Senior Director of Student Pathways, is here to speak about that division and and the wonderful work that they are doing. So, Melanie, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Shirley, and good morning, everybody. I'm on, you might see my face on one screen and my voice is coming from another box, but I am here on camera and waving to you all. I'm happy to be here with you this morning. And I'm just wondering if I can share my screen, Shirley, is that okay?
Yes, I made you co-host. I hope I gave the right one the co-host privilege.
I'll try it out right now, and I'm sure we're good. You sure did. We're good. All right, now can folks see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And it's giving a little bit of a funny view, so let's just fix that real quick, and then let's see. Bear with me for one moment, folks, while I just get the right view. And then we'll get kicked off. But anyway, I wanted to thank everybody for inviting me to the February convening of the CPAC. As Shirley said, my name is Melanie Mack, and I'm the Senior Executive Director for the Office of Student Pathways. Longtime high school teacher, assistant principal, and founder of 3 schools across the city as well, and bring just a lot of love, passion to the things that we're going to be talking about today. I'm hoping 3rd time's a charm, and that when I try to present this, it is going to work for you all.
Move over to.
It's still giving you these funny.
It's showing your notes. Go back to the other screen and hit slideshow and see what it does.
All right. Shirley and all of you are very patient and kind. This is slideshow, and then we'll. All right, I think we're just going to have to go with these funny notes. Is everybody okay with this?
Yes.
We're gonna just make it work. Okay. All right. Anyway, I was with some of you at the high school subcommittee meeting back in the fall, I believe in November, just before Thanksgiving. And we had a really good conversation about the work that we're doing as an office, as New York City Public Schools, around student pathways to long-term economic security. And so a few of you reached out to see if there are some updates we can share, and I'm really happy to share those with you today. Let's see if this is going to. So first, just so that although I'm the solo rep today for the office, there are many, many people behind this work. Our Chief of Student Pathways, Jade Grieve, our Executive Director for College and Career Planning, Kristen Harris, our Executive Director for Career Connected Learning, Harini Venkatesh, and our Interim Executive Director for Computer Science Education, Tunisia. And then you can see my black and white picture there too, or you can just see me on screen waving to y'all. We know this from the Chancellor, that our vision is that every New York City public school student graduates on a pathway to a rewarding career, long-term economic security, and equipped to be a positive force for change. And when I met with some of you all in November, we talked about the great progress we've made over time as New York City public schools, and that, of course, we're setting our sights on something larger, which is students' preparation and being equipped and on a pathway to long-term economic security, which means that, yes, we've made progress towards graduation. Yes, we've made progress towards college and career readiness, and we're setting our sights on something further reaching, longer lasting for our young people, and it's the right goal to set. I'm giving a quick recap for those of you who may not have been with us in November, just to frame a couple of the updates I'm going to share. So when we talk about a student graduating on a path to a rewarding career, this visual really helps me concretize what that might be. So in this example, this is an example of one of our graduates or one of our seniors, right, who might be very interested in a healthcare career. What we're saying is when students graduate, we want them to have had the skills, the head start, the advising, the support, so that their post-secondary plan is this rich in terms of the number of pathways and on-ramps that they can think about to build and develop their career over time once they graduate from our schools. And they can start building their career while they're here with us. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir on this. So you can see in this example, right, the aspiration that we're setting, that a student may graduate from high school and get a certificate that would allow them to be a phlebotomist, person who draws your blood. I'm currently almost 7 months pregnant, and which you can't see on the Zoom screen. And so I'm getting my blood drawn all the time by wonderful phlebotomists. It's a great entry-level career that pays a strong living wage in New York City. And then an apprenticeship could support the student in leveling up to a hospital coding career, which has a larger annual salary. We could see how a 2-year an associate's program would allow that student to stack and build towards being a physical therapist assistant at $60,000 per year. And potentially build from there to a 4-year college degree to be a physician's assistant. We can see what this path could look like all the way to this student eventually pursuing a career as a primary care physician. The big idea is that we want to be much more explicit and supportive in how we support students' career development, so that all of the potential information and paths that they're aware of are all launch points and not dead ends. And I can say this as a daughter of a mother who, completed her college degree much later in life, that, the career development is something that we all pursue throughout our lives. However, we want to make sure that when they leave us in high school, students have a wealth of information and a really strong plan like the one you're seeing on the screen. I will click a little bit through some of these slides, but when I met with some of you in November, we talked about 4 priorities for our office that are really informed by these aspirations. How do we ensure students are on a path to economic security? We've heard from our seniors. These are some quotes from our seniors in recent years, and some sobering statistics on the left-hand side that share, that many of our recent graduates did not have a strong post-secondary plan when they and told us, by a survey, by a focus group, by a conversation, that they wanted more support creating their college and career plan. And our alumni have come back and shared that they needed more support in defining which career to pursue. They may have started out in college, they may have started out in a program without a clear enough sense of where that might lead in terms of a career path. And so this is our call to action. And the 4 priorities that the Office of Student Pathways is pursuing are what you see in shorthand on the left-hand side, that students are graduating with a strong career plan, real-world skills, a head start on their future path, and on a path, to career success and long-term economic security. So if I break that down a little bit further, career plan as one of our chief priorities. That means we are aspiring to provide more effective, more accessible college and career advising and awareness to support students in developing a strong career plan. This ideally does not happen all at once at the end of senior year, Rather, a post-secondary plan is something that a student is developing over time, beginning with really rich conversations that can happen in elementary and middle school around career exploration. I'm going to break down number 2 in these real world skills, Of course, we know that students are building real world skills every day in the classes and in the environments that they're in our high schools. And we know that we have more work to do when we've looked at our data around students having access to financial empowerment and literacy as a part of their typical school day, computational thinking, and digital literacy. Breaking down number 3, what do we mean by a head start? We mean that by the time students graduate, we want more students to already have gotten some momentum and accelerated their progress by earning some early college credits and credentials that are valuable to employers, that align with the plan that they're pursuing. And then breaking down number 4, that a student is on a path at the time they graduate, right? We are building career-connected pathways in our high schools, aligned with the job market. We know that there's a rich history here with our CTE schools that have been doing this work. And also knowing that providing meaningful work experience like internships and apprenticeships is something that we fundamentally want to be part of more students' experience in high school as a way to apply and find relevance and purpose in what they're learning. So I'm here today to share some updates on each of these 4 areas and progress we're making, and also to answer questions that you all have either here or set up a conversation that we can continue at a later date. And I know Shirley and others will tell me if I'm running over with time. You'll give me the hook or give me the heads up.
You're good. You're good so far. You're great.
And I'll say before I share some updates, just to give a little bit of if you needed more of a sales pitch on these 4 priority areas, I just want to share that there's really strong evidence base connected to each of these priorities, right? So what we see that when students have a strong college and career plan, it connects to a lot of other improved outcomes, right? That their FAFSA is completed. When the FAFSA is completed, we know the student is 7 times more likely to enroll in college or a post-secondary program, more likely to apply to a program. And we also see some correlation between students having a strong high school post-secondary plan and then their likelihood of graduating college. I could go on and on, but you can see on the far right of this slide, hopefully it's not too small on your screens, right? When we invest in students building their workplace readiness, digital fluency, and financial empowerment skills, we see credit scores and savings rates improve, likelihood of students having a bank account, increased labor market participation, employment in higher skill occupations. So these 4 priorities really come from a strong evidence base around social and economic mobility and where we want to follow the chancellor's charge that we're reimagining the learning experience. And of course, you've heard from many other colleagues across New York City Public Schools about the incredibly important ways that they are supporting the chancellor's vision. And this is the piece that the Student Pathways team is very proud to support. So I'm going to start with the real skills and just sharing some updates. So for those of you I spoke with, previously in November, right, we shared that in the Office of Student Pathways, there's a number of ways that we're pursuing these goals around more students having access to digital literacy, computational thinking, and financial empowerment and literacy, right, through our career and financial management courses that are requirements in our CTE programs, through our new career readiness and modern youth apprenticeship pilot that is one of the chancellor's signature pathways initiatives, in which all students in these over 50 high schools are having a 9th and 10th grade universal career readiness exposure that is part of their 9th and 10th grade curriculum. We have our Computer Science for All program that is supporting K-12 schools in implementing computer science, and not just implementing it, but implementing it equitably in ways that we're looking at which students have access to computer science and computational thinking within the school. And then, so a couple updates on that front to be aware of. Within the next month, we'll see our Computer Science for All applications open for schools for the 23-24 school year. And so that's an opportunity for K-12 schools to apply for support in developing school leadership capacity, teacher capacity, and finding ways in the schools in the school day, whether that's a standalone class, whether it's integrated into English, art, math, science, you name it, for students to have access to early computer science and computational thinking, which we know is an incredibly important part of the world our young people are growing into, right? And the jobs that will be available to them in the future. I wanted to say that the partnership we have with CUNY around a set of advanced certifications and micro-credentials for our teachers, where teachers can gain advanced college credits and mastery of computer science and digital literacy. We're hosting this at a number of CUNY campuses in spring semester and in summer and into next school year. And so our spring cohort has launched. And so we have K-12 teachers who are leveling up and developing their expertise, right, in computer science. And just a preview that we do anticipate this summer holding a personal finance education bootcamp for teachers where more of our teachers are learning how to integrate financial empowerment and literacy and personal finance education into the school day. I'm going to jump to the Head Start that I spoke about, right? Students graduating with a Head Start with early college credits and credentials. So previously, I've spoken with you all about our College Now program that is serving 470 of our high schools each year, working in partnership with 19 CUNY campuses so that students can earn college credits while in high school. Those typically happen after school and on Saturdays. In some cases, they happen during the school day. Each of our Future Ready NYC schools, which I'll speak a little bit more about on the next slide, they're also partnered with a CUNY campus that's supporting them in building their pathway and career connected early college credits, right? So that the college credits that a high school student has access to on their pathway is aligning with a pathway they could continue to pursue, whether at CUNY or at another institute of higher education. And of course, we also have our early college initiative, which are our early college high schools, our P-Tech schools, and our BARD early college high schools as part of our work. So just sharing some updates there. Our Future Ready NYC schools that are our inaugural cohort. This is another one of the Chancellor's priority and signature initiatives associated with student pathways. They launched their spring semester college courses. And so that's happening in real time right now, that students in those Future Ready schools are getting started with or will be shortly in their spring college coursework with the central idea and the goal here being that students have access to early college awareness and credits from 9th all the way to 12th grade to get this head start. We're also doing a lot of work around credentials of value. So again, I may be preaching to the choir on this, but we know that there are industry valued credentials, right, that are recognized by our employers that are a really important part of us thinking about how we give students a head start in high school. And of course, our CTE schools have been doing this for many, many years. And our hope is that through our pathways pilots and initiatives, by expanding the number of high schools that are implementing career connected learning, will also be increasing the number of students who are able to graduate with an industry valued credential. So we've gotten started on that work, focusing on what are the most valuable credentials within healthcare, tech, and education pathways. And then just one more preview on this slide is that because summer will be here sooner than we all think, that we do also offer College Now during the summer. And so there's opportunities for students to take courses at any of the 19 participating CUNY campuses during the summer, including some really great opportunities like the STEM Research Academy, and the Summer Intensive English Language Program, which is for multilingual learners and immigrant students who can earn up to 3 college credits while also continuing to develop their English reading, writing skills and participating in a community and on a college campus. Next up in terms of updates, and I'm going fast because I know time will run, but really excited to hear any questions y'all have. When we talk about students being on a path and building more of these career connected pathways that line up with what we know about the future job market and providing more meaningful work experience, our career readiness and modern youth apprenticeship schools have been providing their 10th grade teachers, right, with teacher fellowships that connect connect our 10th grade teachers to the world of work so that when they're teaching workplace readiness, career readiness, preparing students to potentially apply for a future apprenticeship opportunity, the teacher has had some real experiential learning and training to support their development. Our Future Ready Schools, which I mentioned previously, right? This is our inaugural cohort. They applied last school year. They are participating this year on healthcare, business, tech, or education pathway. And they are building a 9th to 12th grade holistic experience in which Future Ready students have access to college and career advising, early college credits and credentials, career connected instruction during their school day and their high school classes, right? And meaningful work experiences. And as an example of that, right, our spring internships for both Future Ready schools and CTE schools are getting ready to launch. And then in terms of also starting to look ahead to next year, our Success by Apprenticeship application is launched, which is a long-standing apprenticeship program that we do in close partnership with the UFT, in which many of our future teachers and our future CTE teachers in particular are trained through an apprenticeship program that begins immediately following graduation. And then finally, our Future Ready NYC application, we anticipate it will launch in March. And so we're looking for the next cohort of high schools who would be interested in launching the development of a holistic career connected pathway starting in the 23-24 school year. And so we're really excited about that. There's one slide that is not showing up. And so I'm just going to check on that real quick because there's some important points around advising and awareness that I want to make sure to share with you all. So give me just one moment there. Are you all still seeing my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me just 1 second to.
Okay, you're good.
Call back up this. Let me call back up this other slide so I can show you, because the last but not least is I do want to talk a little bit about advising and awareness, because we have some important updates there. So if I can't pull it up, what I'll do is I'll just actually share that the last priority area that I'd mentioned was students graduating with a strong plan, right? And we started with that slide that really concretized what does it look like for a student to graduate with a strong plan. And we know that developing a strong plan rests on how often and how deep the advising and planning is that a student has access to. And so I wanted to share a couple updates there. One, our college and career advising SAM did go out to all high schools in which we allocate resources so that a school leader can determine their community's needs and how they're best going to support college and career advising within their high school. And so in some cases that supports the additional time of a counselor. In some cases that funds a CBO or a partner that is providing this, advising. In some cases, there's a team of staff members who are collaboratively supporting students with their college and career advising. And so those resources have gone out to schools. We're also launching the New York City Public Schools Pathways Advising Coalition. We've invited a number of our partners from across CBOs, the nonprofit, and the college advising broader community who are working in our schools, have been for many years, around common definitions and standards for what we mean when we talk about high quality college and career advising, and how we're codifying that as an ecosystem of both school counselors, school staff, but also a number of nonprofits and CBOs who are tremendously committed to supporting our young people and the work that we want to do to standardize what high quality is. So that has launched. You may be aware, there's a program called Next Steps Texts and Advising, where after school hours, every weeknight, 4 to 8 p.m., every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, our students can sign up via text to connect and make appointments with counselors and advisors after school hours when their school counselor or advisor may not be available. We saw a huge uptick in January with an additional 100,000 students enrolling in Next Steps Text. And for our seniors, what enrolling in Next Steps Text means is that throughout spring semester, as they near the end of their potentially final semester, they get enrolled automatically into the College and Career Bridge program. Now, the College and Career Bridge program supports our students. It's out of our office in partnership with CUNY. It supports all of our graduates from June all the way to October following graduation with access to a bridge coach. Now, that bridge coach is a former graduate who's now in college, who's been trained by us extensively, and who is has been hired and trained, who is supportive and available to all of our graduates as they transition, as they complete important paperwork for their matriculation, financial aid, or if they're still undecided and looking for post-secondary options following graduation. So we know that the summertime following graduation is a really critical time when students' aspirations for what they're going to do after high school require a lot of additional support. And so this program by students enrolling in Next Steps Text, that's one of the ways they get connected to their bridge coach. And later in the spring, they sort of have a match and an introduction to who their bridge coach will be from June all the way to October. The last thing I'll preview and then maybe open it up for just Q&A is that the bridge program. Actually, I'll probably stop there because I'm looking at the time and I'm seeing it's 10:57.
You're good.
We talked enough about bridge.
Go.
Maybe I could open it up for Q&A.
You're good. You could come back because the chancellor's not here yet. So.
Oh, okay, great.
All right.
Yeah. Well, so those were some of the major updates about college and career advising, the skills development, the pathways. And some of the key priorities that we've been working on across the Office of Student Pathways. And I'm happy to answer clarifying questions, or if there's other wonderings that as I shared some of these updates that came to mind for you all. And I'll be sure to share with Shirley and Anthony and others the slides from today too, so that you have our contacts in the office, and you also have all of the updated programs and some of these opportunities for next year at your fingertips.
Okay, so we have a hands up. Give me a second so I can see who it is. We have District 15, Nancy Cruz. You have the floor.
Hi, Melanie, that was fabulous. Thank you so much. I was completely unaware of this program and it's amazing. I just had one quick question about the Bridge Coach program, which is like really game changing for a lot of students, especially those who are first gens going to college. Is there any reason why that couldn't be extended for the entire first year? Because the cycle of the college experience is new throughout the year. Is there any way, are there talks about that of just mentoring sort of, or being available to someone who for the entire first year, at the very least, the entire first semester through to finals?
That's a great point, Nancy. And I couldn't agree more on why this program matters. For a little bit of context, before the pandemic, this was actually, at least by New York standards, a smaller program. It was operating in about 130 of our schools. And during the pandemic, advocated for this to become system-wide, starting with the class of 2020, because particularly at the height of COVID, our students having access to a trained, caring, individual to support them with their post-secondary plans was top of mind for all of us as students graduated during lockdown. So it's really just recently in the past 2 years that the program has grown to this scale. There's lots of ways that we're thinking about improving. So some improvements we've made is we've improved the training and the referrals for students with disabilities so that they're getting the right referrals during the summer, either to one of our transition college access centers or to the right people on their future campus about the services that they are eligible for. We've also improved the referral services for students in temporary housing and foster care. So there's been a lot of growth in the past 2 years, as well as like refinements to the program so that it's serving students. We've also been matching coaches with students based on home language. So it's a great example that always comes to mind. I may have shared with this group previously of a student who was a multilingual learner graduating from one of our international schools. Her home language is in Bengali, and her coach also spoke Bengali and was able to support her through her FAFSA process and support her family through the FAFSA process as first gen and also new immigrant family in New York. So there's a lot of program enhancements. There's been a small pilot, Nancy, about called Winter Bridge, in the past 2 years. And what Winterbridge has done is it's done a real scrub of our alumni's data and seen by the late fall following graduation, right? Who that graduated in either June or August still hadn't yet enrolled, and then matching them with a coach in a slightly different and more intensive program to match them with the post-secondary plan. Your idea about supporting through the first year is definitely one that resonates with me. We've focused on training the coaches and also training our counselors in schools to support students in finding the strongest support program on campus, whether that's like ASAP, EOP, HEOP, a number of these programs that provide both financial support, but also wraparound supports, including like an advisor, a cohort group to build community with, funding for travel and tuition and book costs. So there's a lot that goes into helping students with connecting with the most supportive services on campus or within their program, but there's still for sure a long way to go. And part of the conversations that we have with CUNY regularly around first-time freshmen and first-year supports. So your point is really well taken, and as the program is growing, is something that we're taking to heart in terms of what is that, when is the right handoff, and what's that handoff that supports a student in really thriving once they start their post-secondary program.
Thank you. I mean, if you're connecting them with the supports within the,
I'm sorry. No, can't do any follow-ups.
Okay.
Right? Questions.
Sorry,
Adriana
it's my
has
first
her
time. I
hands.
don't know the ground rules.
No, it's okay. Adrienne has her first hands up. She's going to be the last question because our chancellor is on the platform. So Adriana, you have the floor.
Thank you, Shirley. Melanie, and you can definitely get back to any of us at any point with this. How are you defining durable skills, and are you also teaching soft skills?
That's a great question, and I'll be quick because welcome, Chancellor. So the way we're defining durable skills within the first year of this office being launched by the Chancellor is around digital literacy, financial literacy, and empowerment, and then also acknowledging our longstanding work around computational thinking and computer science. In terms of those are sort of the definitions when we're, and then I would also add that within our pilot programs and within our CTE programs, there's a tremendous amount of general workplace readiness training that is part of the 9th grade experience onward. I think what I'd also add though, in terms of soft skills, is this is why the work-based learning experiences like kind of pre-internship, job shadowing, internship, apprenticeship opportunities are so important in high school. And I say that as a former and forever high school teacher and assistant principal, because it is getting prepared for those work experiences in which there's a real contextualized, legitimate opportunity for a student to leave the school building and interact in a workplace with a number of colleagues, with a boss, and for the rubber to really hit the road in terms of, how do I want to present myself in a place of work? What are some of the skills that I need to hone to manage my time, to work collaboratively? And so that is part of our pre-internship and pre-work-based learning training. And in reality, our future ready schools our apprenticeship schools and our CTE schools, all of those schools that are implementing pathways programs, they scaffold what that kind of workplace readiness training looks like as students get prepared for more and more intensive work experiences from 9th to 12th grade. So happy to follow up. I just dropped my email in the chat and really appreciate the time with you all today.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you for coming here. There's another question in the chat. If you can, before you leave, is about how can someone sign up for a bridge coach? You can answer that. So that is a question from the YouTube. And anybody else who has questions. Go ahead, Bella.
I'm so sorry, Shirley. I'm going to drop that in the link to sign up for Bridge Coach in the chat. And then I can stay on for a few minutes for any other chat questions I can answer. And then I'll pass the mic to you, Shirley. Thanks so much, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out to come with us, Melanie. So we have our esteemed Chancellor who's going to speak with us today. So we're going to pass the floor right now to our Chancellor, David C. Banks.
Hi, Shirley. Thank you so much. And hello to everyone out there today. I'm sorry I'm in the back of a car on my way out to a forum in Brooklyn where we'll be talking about some additional efforts and investments that are being made in our dyslexia work. And so excited about that, and excited anytime we have an opportunity to lean in a deeper way and continue to expand on some of the work that we're doing for our kids, particularly our kids who have some of the greatest issues and the greatest challenges. If anybody who didn't see it, there was an article that just came out in the New York Times. It's not in the print version today, but it's online. Troy Kloss, I think, did a really nice article about our work around dyslexia, told through the eyes of a particular family in the city. So I don't know if somebody can maybe pull it up, put it in the chat, but it should be easy enough to find. It came out this morning in the New York Times. But just a couple of things, wanted to bring everybody's attention. I'd say first of all, what I am grappling with the most right now is certainly all of these shootings that are happening, and not just shootings, stabbings. It is deeply, deeply, deeply troubling to me. And the mayor's call for a major summit at City Hall tomorrow with NYPD, other violence interrupters, some key school personnel, as we begin to really, we've been trying to get our arms wrapped around this. I talk to the police commissioner every week, but we're continuing to see a level of violence, and very often not in the schools, but outside of school, up the block from school, around the corner and right outside the building. So while it's not actually in the schools per se, it is all connected, and the kids having the kind of access to guns and weapons that they have is deeply, deeply troubling. And we know kids get in nonsense with each other sometimes, right? We all went to school before, and we know sometimes kids will fight and do things that they shouldn't, but they didn't always have access to weapons like they do right now, which makes the situation so much worse, so much worse. Love to hear some thoughts from folks around what we can be doing on that space. But in addition to that, just a couple of announcements that I did want to make. The mayor announced that beginning Friday, 10th, visitors to our schools will no longer have to show proof of vaccination as a requirement for entrance. And so I know there are a number of parents who've been asking about this for a while. They'll be able to participate in activities. They can go to the games and see their kids after school. For those who had been barred before, we've kind of working together with the Department of Health, Mental Hygiene, we follow their guidance, and they've kind of lifted that restriction. And so we feel good about that. I think it's also another sign that we are well on the other side of this pandemic and getting better all the time. And we're just very hopeful that with the lifting of these restrictions, that we don't find ourselves going backwards. So the city's going to monitor it. We're going to see, but certainly those parents that have been asking me about the lifting of that restriction starting Friday is here. Also want to say that on January 24th, I had announced the launch of a new Asian American Pacific Islander history curriculum as part of our Hidden Voices curricula. And this new curriculum is going to be available in all schools and grades by the end of the year. So excited about the project, what we've been able to do with that, how it's been launched. And it's a continued effort to try and tell the stories of a wide range of people that make up New York City and make up America. We are well along in the development of the Black Studies curriculum. We've got an LGBTQ piece that is going to be part also of our Hidden Voices. And that was the LGBTQ was launched in the spring of 2018. So the goal is to reflect the diversity of the city. So continued work on that and feeling good about that. For this group, is really important to know, right, that the application period to elect new council members for the CECs for the 2023 through 2025 term is going to close in a few days. And so we're really encouraging eligible parents to apply. Start candidate forums beginning on February 27th. It's going to run through April 20th. And so I know you all are aware, and we're asking that you continue to put the word out. Want to get as many involved so significantly before to see this as an opportunity to be even more involved. So happy about where we are with that as well. So those are just a few top line things that I did want to talk about. I testified in Albany yesterday for a couple of hours before the state legislature. Was pressed on a couple of issues, including class size and charter schools. But overall, I think it was a very good opportunity for us to talk about some of our priorities, what we're really trying to be very focused on. And we will be announcing in the coming days the coordination of a working group that will be predominantly parents who will help to guide us in the implementation of the class size bill. As you all know, I'm sure, that is a bill that was signed into law. And now we have to talk about how to implement that. We've been given a 5-year timeline to meet the requirements of the law. I've heard from a number of parents and I've heard from a number of school leaders around some of the challenges that are going to be tied to doing that over the next 5 years. But we'd like to engage parents and families in this process as we talk about what we need to do to be in compliance with the law. There'll be some challenges, financial challenges, and hard choices that are going to have to be made. I think we feel really good about where we are for the next 2 years. We don't think over the next 2 years we're going to have to really do much of anything in terms of in the immediate. But we should be using this time over the next 2 years to plan for the class size implementation over the next for years 3, 4, and 5 to make sure that we are in compliance. And it's not going to be easy based upon the projections of what we see. So that's all I've got for the moment. I'd love to take a few questions, Shirley.
All right, thank you, Chancellor. So remember, I know you have questions, but he also asked for suggestions regarding the safety. So let's not forget about that as well. So Districts 25 have her hands up. Francis, you have the floor.
Hi, Chancellor. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Good to see you.
Being here. Thank you for being here. I'm good. I'm glad to hear that there's some new curriculum for Pacific Islanders. As a Puerto Rican American here, and as a student from the New York City, I've never learned about other Puerto Rican heroes. And we have a strong presence here in New York City, and we're a big part of New York City. When are they going to do a curriculum on that? Because I know that, you know, they often talk about our musicians, but they have Puerto Rican scientists. A lot of our Puerto Rican people have fought in our wars, American wars, and we are a Commonwealth of the United States. And I would like to see a little bit of more presence in that for our, included in our Hispanic Heritage Month, but Puerto Ricans especially because we are US citizens. So I just wanted to bring that out. So I hope that you can, I know you have a lot of things that play, but just a little bit there, and just to push out more cultural heroes for other cultures as well. So thank you for doing that work. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. We are also working together with Deputy Chancellor Quintana and her entire team on the Latin history, and that is a huge part of that is the history of Puerto Ricans in this city and around this nation and around the world. The good thing about New York City, I always say, like, the whole world lives here, right? I've met with Dominican leaders who have said we want to see ourselves reflected as well. The Bangladeshi community, it runs the whole gamut. And so we're working really hard to try to develop curricula that speaks to the experiences and the culture of all of our students. And so point is well taken. There's a huge group of folks who have been working specifically on the development of kind of our Latinx curricula, if you will. There's some folks who take exception even to that term. So we're still settling a lot of those issues, right? But the point is that we are focused on it. We're developing curricula as we speak, and we will be announcing further developments in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you, Chancellor. District 20, oh, not 28, District 8, Angela Torres, you have your hands up.
Hi, Chancellor Banks. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad that you brought up the issue regarding the different fights and things that are happening. And I think that it would be really important, since you're coming, one idea is to have parents and parent leaders have an understanding of the process of how safety issues are escalated throughout the system. And the reason why I say that, I mean, I have a particular school in my district right now where, they've done everything. The principal has really gone out of his way. And, there's even been parent mediation with students, because let's be real, like a lot of people have been impacted, mental health, especially post-COVID. And so there's been an uptick in aggressive behaviors to the point that there are students that parents who don't want to send their students to school. And there's even been physical things that have happened, to teachers and to students. Again, the school and all of that, they've been doing everything they need to, but it continues, and it's creating an environment that is, considered to be unsafe, even with all that's being done. So what do you suggest, for me to kind of go back to these parents about? Firstly, and secondly, what would you would we be able to have something to help understand the process so the parents can understand and kind of feel like something is being done and so on? What do you suggest? I can't wait to hear your ideas.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that as well. And we're continuing to gather information and to talk to parents and families and educators in our schools. Couple of things we are working on, things that we intend to do. We will be launching very soon the beginnings of what we call mindfulness practice, breathing exercises. As you know, this is very personal for the mayor as well. And we shouldn't treat it lightly. We're gonna find time, even if it's just a few minutes each day, for students to be in a practice of deep breathing / mindfulness. It's a training. It's a way in which you can train your mind and your body to be still and to reflect, and it is proven, scientifically proven, to help to relieve stress, to relieve trauma. And when you're faced with difficult situations, to have a lifelong skill where you know how to center yourself. Sometimes all of us can find ourselves in the middle of a situation. We get worked up about something, and people will tell us, take it easy, breathe, right? Deep breathing is actually a centuries-old skill that is good, and it releases endorphins into the body and everything else. Kids can actually be taught how to do that well in a way which keeps them calm in the face of a lot of craziness that can, in fact, be going on around them. So that's certainly one thing. Another thing, we are working with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene And again, these are some announcements that we expect to come in the coming days and weeks around the development of a telemental health program where for high schoolers, where every student in high school is going to have access on their phone to a mental health counselor. Kids who have suicide ideation, kids who are going through stress and feel like they just can't take it anymore, who are looking for an outlet of where they can go and somebody whom they can talk to, and don't have the time to try to get a meeting with a psychologist 2 weeks from now. They're going to have access right on their phone in real time to be able to connect directly with somebody who can help them in that moment, a real professional. I'm very excited about this. It's not been fully announced yet. I'm just giving you all a heads up of what is coming. It's a partnership with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. We're really excited about that. So let's stay ready for that. And the other thing I would tell you that's top of mind for me is around engaging more of our parents and families to be involved with us in providing safe passage to and from schools for our kids. You know, again, a lot of these incidents with our kids are taking place right after school, right at dismissal. We need help. We need to invoke the village, right? And I've told parents many times, I said this at a CCHS meeting the other day, when we talk about parent involvement and parent engagement, this is a way for parents to be involved, you know, for the school to put out a call, and if you can get 10, 15, 20 parents on a daily basis who come and give you a half an hour of time after school, just to be an extra set of eyes and ears for kids. A lot of times, other kids who want to start trouble won't do it if they see other adults around. And once you can kind of get everybody dispersed and they go home, you know, we can usually solve for a lot of those problems. We need more help. The schools need more help. This is a perfect way for parents to be involved and to be engaged. And as I like to say, the village, all being part of the response. So a lot of times people ask me, Chancellor, what are you going to do? You know, and we talk about, you know, getting more police cars at the end of the school day to come out. And then some people push back and say, we don't want more cops, right? Or, you know, but we've launched Project Pivot, and we've got community-based organizations that are helping us with a lot of this, but they're not in every school, right? And it costs money to do all those things. But a more simple thing that we can all do in every school is to get a group of parent volunteers, those who can. Everybody can't, but those who can, to come out 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour after school, or even right before school, just keeping your eyes open a block away from the school. We know where the little fights happen and everything else. The schools know it. They just don't have all of the manpower to solve for it. But that's exactly a place where parents can really help us out. So those are just a few of the things that we have been talking about, and we're trying to flush out some more of these ideas, and could use all the help we could get.
Awesome. We have District 27, Melissa McAllister. Before I know Christina is writing notes. There's a good suggestion from YouTube. I just wanted to publicly say that the DOE could also partner up with the Puerto Rican Studies in East Harlem. That's a good source to start for that. Yes, thank you.
I appreciate
that. Melissa,
that.
you got the floor.
And hold on, but Melissa, before you go, also, just as a by the way, I know you said the DOE could. I'm really trying to get away from referring to it as the DOE. I've been referring to it as New York City Public Schools, or you just say public schools. Here's the reason why that's important. When I talk to parents, right, we talk about reasons why sometimes people feel disconnected or not fully engaged. Language actually matters. We are the only school system in the entire nation that doesn't refer to schools in our name when we call ourselves the Department of Education. If you go right now to Denver, it's called Denver Public Schools. Every parent in Denver knows it's DPS, Denver Public Schools. If I take you to Chicago, Chicago Public Schools. If I take you to Atlanta, it's Atlanta Public Schools. New York City is the only city in the whole country which refers to our school system as the DOE. A Department of Education is a bureaucracy. It feels and sounds cold, like a machine. We want it to be warmer and more engaging. And I really believe that language does matter. And so I invite all of you to also join me and my team. And I've shared this with elected officials and others in terms of trying to begin the process. I know we have old habits. DOE is very easy, it just slips right off the tongue. But to join me in referring to it as public schools, and more expressly, New York City public schools is where I refer to it. That can be a little long, even if we just say in the public schools, that would suffice. But I'm really trying to get away from DOE. So try to be mindful of that if you can.
Thank you. We will start right now. So it aligns with your weekly letters, or I don't know if you call them letters, where it says New York City Public Schools and you. So we will help start changing that language. So Melissa, you have the floor.
Hi, Chancellor. Good morning.
Hi.
So my comment is about school leadership teams. Through my conversations with parents, parent leaders, I feel fairly confident in saying that a lot of school leadership teams are operating below their full potential. So this is sort of a request to you to take steps to ensure that school leadership team members, especially parent members, are uplifted, seen as valid, capable, and valued members of the decision-making team for our schools. A quick example from my school, we're moving, there's no playground, we need Res OA. So our parents volunteer from the school leadership team, volunteer to do some fact finding for Res OA. But every time we reach out to New York City Public Schools for answers to our questions, there's no response, we're passed from person to person. So we're kind of at a stalemate right now with being able to even apply for Res OA. There's no playground at the school, so we can't do anything right now. And it's also, and we've been told specifically we'll only talk to the principal, yada yada. So it's a little piece. Our SLT wanted to do things this way, and we're being impeded by folks, within the public school structures. So it's something I want to bring to your attention. Yeah.
I would like to follow up with you. Dr. Melendez, can you get me all the specifics on that particular case? Because I can use that as a test case for other parents and other SOTs who may have a similar feeling. I want to figure out where the breakdown is and why. I think everybody's got to mute, but why, because that shouldn't be. There should be a more direct line, and people should feel it and know it and feel like these things are being resolved. I hate that anytime any sense of parents feel as though they're working hard, they're trying to do something, they're trying to get a playground, there's a process. But what I don't like is if they say they're reaching out to our folks and they get passed around and it feels like nobody's really helping them get to a resolution. So that means there's a gap that's somewhere. And I'd like to use this case to study this and figure it out and follow up here on how that's playing out. Okay. All right. So we will follow up with you.
Thank you
Dr.
so much.
Melendez, please be sure to ensure that I get the follow up on this. I want to use this to help me figure out some gaps.
So I'm going to, so Louis, because some of our members are also education council members, and this is what education councils do, right? Part of their roles and responsibility is capital projects planning. So we need to encourage, again, like from the start that Naquan said, strengthening the partnerships between president's councils and education councils, because they do that side of the parent leadership. That's one of their roles and responsibilities. So if you strengthen those partnerships, you can help together to get those those projects, reservations, those playgrounds. But the chancellor's going to follow up, and we all can help follow up as well. But the first place you should go to is, for that particular school, their education council, for that district. So that is a good place to start and to strengthen partnership. So I know you have time. So we're going to go to District 13 first before we go to 28 and 15. So Celia, you have the floor.
And I only have a couple more minutes. They're waiting. It's press conference that's starting at 11:30. I just pulled up. I see a group of people out here waiting. Yep.
Understood.
All right.
Celia,
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Obin. Good morning, Chancellor. I just wanted to know about the 3Ks and the 4Ks that are run by the DOE. What happens if one that's run by the DOE shuts? How do they find out if it's moved or if, you know, because someone had approached me, a parent had approached me about one that shut suddenly in the Bronx. So, and they weren't sure who to turn to, and it was definitely a DOE run center.
Okay, yeah, no, feel free. We can connect you, any of our folks who face, we can connect you with Dr. Ahmed and her team. She's the Deputy Chancellor for Early Childhood. They have a protocol that they follow, a notification of parents. One of the big challenges we have had is some programs that are primarily outside vendors, not so much us, but where we have seen investments that we've made, but we don't have enough seats actually being filled. We've had programs that we have been paying for 50 students, and there are only 2 students actually even in the school. And folks have said what we really need, you know, we don't need the 3K seats. We need something else. We're trying to actually figure out the best way to provide real alignment and get the parents the specific seats that they actually need in the community. Some communities have a saturation of seats, and others we're paying and there's no kids showing up at all. I mean, I was shocked when I came here and I found out the amount of money that we were spending in still paying providers for schools that have absolutely no kids, none. So we're trying to right size all of that. But when a decision is made that there's going to be a site that's going to be closed, parents and community are supposed to be notified, in fact, about that. And so please certainly follow up with our team, but it rests with the Office of the Early Childhood, Dr. Kara Ahmed. That is her role in the work that she is leading.
Thank you so much, Chancellor.
All right. They're looking for me. I'm going to have to jump out of here now. I know I only had until 11:30. I wish I could stay and answer more of the questions. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you next time.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you so much. And all questions, you have
Thank you,
Christina
everybody.
here. You have Jesse here.
Yes.
You can ask your questions here in the chat or at the end, or you can email CPAC and we'll forward those questions. Those monthly questionnaires is also another space. You know, the Chancellor is coming every month. If you have questions, you can fill out those questionnaires. We can send it ahead of time before this meeting, and he can address or face those questions. So we've been trying to push that more and more and more. Fill out those questionnaires. So questions that on topics that he brings up, we can ask questions on that. But questions regarding our districts, our borough, we should be sending them ahead of time so they can have the answers for you at this meeting. So without further ado, right, so we can stay on schedule, but I'm going to share my picture first, right? Now we have council member who is the Education Council chair for New York City Council, Rita Joseph. Good morning, Rita. Thank you for being here, and you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Just like the Chancellor, I'm in the car in transition as well. So I just wanted to say good morning to everyone. Happy New Year. Hopefully everybody's still saying that. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. Thank you for always inviting me. What are we working on? We're working on a lot. We had a hearing yesterday on College Now and early college to make sure that our students and our parents know that these programs are offered across about 470 high schools across the city, which allow our young people access to college, earn college credits early on, and it saves parents money as well because you're earning college credits and you're not paying for them. So that was one of the things. I have another hearing coming up on PK3. I know everybody's asking about that, PK3, and how our providers are getting paid. So that's next week. Register to testify. We can't do this work without you participating in this democracy. So next week, Wednesday, the 15th, I believe at 1 p.m. It'll be at City Hall, of course. What else? I think that's it. I'm open to some questions. As you may have heard, the mayor, all schools are being held harmless. There are no budget cuts, but there, of course, I have priorities that I definitely want to fight for. Mental health continuum, shelter-based coordinators, language access. So there are things that I would be fighting for as the education chair in the upcoming budget.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anyone? Questions? We have our education chair. What would you like to see? What suggestions you would like to give her? Any questions? What's going on? She wanted to be more of a conversation instead of speaking to us, speaking at us. So please raise your hands, put the comments. If you can't speak, you could type it in the chat and I'll read it out loud for you. And we have Nancy Cruz from District 15.
Hi, Representative Thompson. I don't know what the proper title is here.
Council member.
Council member. Yes, thank you so much for being here. This is my first CPAC meeting, so I'm very excited to see you in person. Excuse me, although I was at the legislative breakfast. Thank you. So I just had a question. I was listening to Chancellor Banks speaking about the issues of violence around the schools. And it just made me really nervous to hear him talk about it with a mayor who is seems to be quite an advocate for police force. And I just was wondering, so the budget cuts that happened have really compromised the services that he's talking about implementing, which is having like social services and mental health support for students within the schools, and having, I mean, these things were cut. And now he said, well, we're going to have a line where kids can like make a phone call, and like really like within the school community for the kids to actually know their counselors and for them to be present and seeing what's going on is way more cost effective. Like it was a little bit like shocking for me to hear this disconnect between the two things. And then, you know, the other thing is like having like after schools, and of course the small class sizes, but having after schools and things. I went to a very violent middle school. I'm still traumatized from the experience, and I have 30 seconds left, but I just remember going to band before school and going to band after school, like just limiting the number of kids who are outside during release by having like after schools and before schools is very helpful too. But there, you know, there's no money. But there was just now a huge procession that shut down all of mid-Brooklyn here that probably cost tons of money in police force, but yet we don't have the money for the schools. So my time is up, and thank you so much for listening.
You're very welcome. There was something called a mid-year adjustments made to schools. Principals should have reached out to you and they should have told you. Money was put back into every school's budget. So there was something called a mid-year adjustments, and the cuts were restored back to the schools. And this year there is no cuts from the beginning. Yes, ma'am. If you go back, go talk to your principals, ask them how much money was put back into each of their budget. And also one of the things when you spoke, one of the things the mayor had put into place was something called Project Pivot, where they have cure violence groups in schools, walking kids to school, being a safe passage. I visited Spring Creek last week with the chancellor. So those are programs that are working, and we have after school. Each of the council members fund programs that's called Sukasa, where we provide $20,000 for each of the schools to get after school programming. Yes, there should be more. I'm always going to be an advocate for that. Yes, there should be more arts. There should be more theater. There should be more of everything. But we are doing those things. There are after school programs. If the school is not funded, you reach out. Reach out and let us know the schools that do not have after school programming. Most of the schools have Sukasa funding. So when it comes to that, we are doing our due diligence on the grounds to make sure schools are getting. I was in a meeting the other day to make sure that art education is continued in schools. We fund art education last year in schools. So so that's what we are doing, and that's what I'm always fighting for. After school, for me, there should be universal after school programming. I went into a school and I spoke to a principal, and she said, Ms. Joseph, it's not programming, because when we provide the program, some of the students don't show up, whether it's before school or after school. So we need to sit down with the young people, which is what I told the chancellor. Maybe we need to listen to young people to find out what is happening. Instead of us just giving them stuff, I think maybe we need to have a conversation with young people and let them facilitate the conversation and say, what is it that you need versus what is it I'm giving you? So I went to Spring Creek last week for Cure Violence, and there's quite a few schools that have that around the city. It's a pilot project looking to see how it works, but violence in schools is unacceptable for me. So we're gonna meet with young people. There's some youth summit that I would love to put together to have young people in the room for me to listen to. Maybe I'm doing something wrong as the adult. Maybe let me listen to the young people and hear what they have to say. Maybe it's more mental health they need. Maybe it's after school jobs they need. Maybe versus us having summer youth, maybe we need jobs all year round for young people. So it's not a cookie cutter that's gonna solve everything, but starting the conversation, it's a starter.
Thank you. We have another hands up, and it is District 8, Angela Torres.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Just to follow up on that, besides I love the idea of having a student summit, but what about also like having some kind of parent summit where parents can kind of talk about the things that they're seeing, and parent leaders could also be part of that. I would love to, be part of that if that was something that you did. And I'm sure a lot of the people here on this platform would as well, because the whole thing of violence, both in schools, or, at dismissal, etc. And let's not even go into the online bullying that happens as well, has come to an all-time high, especially post-COVID, and the mental health issues that, I know that we have different things that we have in place to try to get it taken care of, but the reality is it is still pervading, and some people are really being torn apart, and so, I think we could collectively work together towards something. So I don't know what your ideas are with that.
Well, I love that. The reason why I wanted to engage the young people, because it was them that I saw that what the violence was affecting. I have a 13-year-old stabbing a 17-year-old allegedly, but nevertheless, what are we doing? What are we doing as adults? So that's why I said I wanted to get the young people in the room, and usually we get the good young people. I want the young people that somehow we lost them, somehow they fell through the cracks, somehow we failed them. I want to step up and find out what can I do to make it better. Listening from them, from their perspective, not mine. For once, I want to be the facilitator and listen to you, and let's see, collect together, we can come up with solutions. Young people sometimes have solutions, but they are not being heard. So I want the opportunity for them to be at the table, for their voice to be heard. And parents should get together and also work in partnership. How do we solve this? Because I told them this is the city's future. So I cannot mess with it. I must make sure that I give them every tool in my toolbox to make sure they succeed. I just buried a 17-year-old who was one of my former students a week ago, gunned down and mistaken identity, 17 years old. So I should be going to graduations. I should be going to proms. I should be getting letters. Ms. Joseph, I got accepted to this college. But instead, I'm going to the funeral with young people. And there was so much young people in the room that day. It was an opportunity for me to address them as well. Young people, what are we doing? What is it that we need that I'm not doing that I should be doing differently? And they could come up with policies too. Some young people come up with policies. I have a young person, I use an EpiPen, they use an EpiPen. They have this thing around EpiPens that they want to bring to the attention. EpiPens are expensive. If you don't get to use them in a year, they expire, and they're very, very expensive. And I think the child, he wrote me about a bill, that suggestion. So I'm listening. I'm listening to young people. Even when I do my hearings, I make sure I wait. My hearings will end at 7. My committee staff will tell you, I'll wait for young people. They'll text me, email me, council member, we don't get out of school till 4:30. Can we still come? I want to hear you. I will be here, but we got to do this in partnership as well, parents and students, and I agree.
Thank you.
We have Adriana, who from District 28 has her hands up.
Thank you, Shirley, and thank you, council member, for being with us. I have, since we touched a little bit on budget and the issue is always money, right? So, sorry, at the CCHS town hall earlier this week, First Deputy Chancellor Dan Weisberg said that in spite of what you may have read in some papers, the administrative costs have been reduced significantly. He did not say how much the costs have been reduced, but he said something like 300 central positions are just gone. Following that, the Independent Budget Office confirmed that the $100 million in the PEG of savings in the staffing that's mentioned in the preliminary budget is really a cut to school budgets, which is contrary to the Department of Ed or New York City schools' repeated claims.
Well, that's our favorite conversation. So, like, the only thing, the speaker and the finance team, we are reviewing the budget line by line. And I've already said that, and I said it publicly again. What happened to us last year will not happen again, because that was the same conversation we had. It was about headcount. And the one person who was able to finally publish it, because we took a lot of backlash, people were like, oh, the council didn't know how to read. The council didn't do it. The council asked the right question. And the answer you got is the same question we ask. And that's why we move forward. So this year, we're not doing that. We're not doing it. And they know that. They know I'm loud and clear. We're not doing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now we have Melissa McAllister, District 27.
Hi, council member. I really liked hearing that you're so focused on collaborating with the kids,
Of course.
and maybe even collaborating with the ones that are labeled as, being a problem or being bad or whatever. So I just wanted to recommend that you and your staff look into collaborative problem solving training. I know it was something that the schools were doing for a minute. I don't know if it's still around. There's Dr. Ross Green does a version. There's other versions out there, and I think it's really. I took a class as a parent for my teenager, and it's really been a game changer. And I think that if staff members, parents had more access to this, it would make a huge it would be a huge help.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they did it for a minute. That's the thing. We don't try stuff for long term to see output. We try everything for a minute. Definitely going to look into that and see how we can bring out a model to have that as part of a conversation and have that in schools. Maybe the Cure Violence groups can also incorporate that in their mentoring programs and their meetings with the students as well. Thank you for that suggestion.
Awesome. I don't see any hands or comments in the chat. So this is going to be the last call for anyone who has a question, or it doesn't have to be a question. It could be a comment or a suggestion. That's what we're here to give. I see, can you share links or other contact info for those groups? And
it could be a glow. It could be a grow.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we have District 17. Veronica Clark, you have the floor.
Oh, my Miss Clark.
Good morning,
Hi, Miss
everyone.
Clark.
Hi, darling. Good morning, everyone, and thank you. I'm sorry to be late, but I just wanted to say, just to tell you, thank you for your service, and looking forward to continue working with you.
Thank you.
I know everything is not as good as we would like it to be, but I just want to thank you for keep pushing through and working with us as parents and parent leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Look at my colleague, John Liu. Hi, Senator.
Thank you. So that will be the last comment. See, look, she introduced our next guest. I want to share my slides, but Councilmember Joseph, you're always welcome. And if there's any questions or not questions, any suggestions or feedback you want to get from us and you want to come and jump on, just let us know. You don't have to wait for our invitation. Just let us know and we'll have you'll have it on, because everybody would like to hear what the city council has to do, deal with when it comes to our education. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. My office is always here to answer questions too and to help advocate. So thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, everyone. And you now have the amazing Senator John Liu.
Yes, thank you. Before Senator, we let Jan Atwell, she works at Rita Joseph's office. You can speak. You have the floor.
Hi, just a quickie. Chair Joseph didn't say she has a bill on creating a anti-bullying task force for DOE, or New York City Public Schools, as the chancellor wants. We had heard that bill at the hearing that we had last week, and we DOE basically said, yeah, they're working on the issue of bullying, but they never said that, yes, they would create the task force. I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. So maybe, you can help push on that as well. The task force would include parents and, other stakeholders. And it's really such a critical issue, as you all have brought up at the meeting today. That's it. And I will let you get back to John Luke.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So without further ado, we're going to pass to our amazing senator. He's a Queens senator, but he's also the chairperson of the New York City Education Committee. So Mr. Senator Liu, you have the floor.
Thanks so much, Shirley. I don't know about amazing. Amazing is Rita Joseph. She's amazing. She's hit the ground running so quickly and so hard in the city council as our chair of education. About 100 years ago, I was in the city council also and a member of the education committee there. Now, these last few years, I've had the privilege of chairing the New York City Education Committee in the New York State Senate. I am also a member of two other education-related committees, the Education Committee itself, which is chaired by Shelley Mayer, as you all know. This deals with education issues all across the state. And I'm also a member of the Higher Education Committee, which deals with colleges, universities, professions, and all those related issues. But the New York City Commission, the New York City Education Committee deals specifically with the DOE, that being really the biggest, not only the biggest school system in New York State, but in the entire country. So always glad to engage with our parent leaders, which all of you are as members of CPAC. I know you've heard from the Chancellor already. You've heard from Chair Joseph. You heard from others as well. I can give you a quick update, and then I'm more interested in hearing what your concerns, questions, and suggestions are. So I'll just give a quick. Do you want me to give a quick update, or should we just go straight into questions?
No, give a quick update. So what you're doing, what you're advocating, especially on behalf of New York City Public Schools.
Okay.
So yes, and then we'll have enough time for dialogue afterwards.
Okay, so I'll give a quick update. There's always lots to update about education, and all the members here are pretty much on top of the latest issues. But the latest is that Governor Hochul proposed her state budget just last week, and the state budget is, most people think of budget as revenues and expenditures, but in the state of New York, the budget also means a whole lot of things that have really nothing to do with fiscal affairs, but are true policy questions. So one of the big questions right now is the governor wants to lift the cap on the number of charter schools in New York State. That's, even though it has no fiscal impact directly on the state as a whole, it's part of the budget because it's one of these things where it should be its own separate law, but because the governor likes to package as many laws together as possible in the budget, she proposes it as part of the budget. And she's not the only governor. Every governor does this. They have the upper hand in the budget process, whereas we legislators have more of an upper hand in the legislative session after the budget process. So bottom line is Governor Hochul's looking to eliminate the cap. Just to give you a quick update on the cap itself, legally, we have in this state, ever since charter schools were begun about 25 years ago, there's always been a numerical limit on how many charter schools can be created. And there's actually two limits. One limit is a statewide limit, which is 460 charter schools. Can't have more than 460 charter schools. There's a sublimit of 287 charter schools in New York State. New York City. That's a subset of the 460. So the statewide cap of 460 has never been reached. Right now, there are about 385 charter schools in New York State. However, the cap in New York City, 287, that was reached several years ago. And so for the last several years, no new charter schools have been able to be created. Governor Hochul is proposing no change in the statewide cap, but eliminating the New York City specific cap. What that effectively means is that we could have up to another 100 charter schools created in New York City. That is what she proposes. I have been very adamant and vociferous in my opposition to that. I don't think there is any reason or rationale to increase the number of charter schools. And there's a lot of different reasons, but the most basic reason is that, you know, I didn't put the limit in place. That was put in place many years ago. You know, think about it. If there's a limit on something, just because you reach the limit doesn't mean you increase the limit. There's been no other justification for raising the limit other than the fact that we've reached the limit. So we can get into a whole big discussion, but I am going to fight tooth and nail against any kind of increase in the number of charter schools, because there's no reason at this point to increase the charter cap, especially as we have seen enrollment declines all across New York City, including in our public schools and including in charter schools. So I don't see any rationale for increasing the number of caps. I can't see all the chats because they came through too quickly, but I think I did see something about zombie charters. There are 13 zombie charters right now in New York City. So Governor Hochul is proposing that those zombie charters, which were charter schools that have since closed, but the charters are still kind of stuck with those closed schools. She's saying that let other people take those inactive charters. So there's 13 of them right now in New York City. That combined with eliminating the New York City cap would allow about 106 new charter schools in New York City if they actually all located in New York City. So that's the latest. As opposed, another issue, some really terrific news on the budget though, and I really commend and thank the governor for this, is that she fully funded foundation aid with an increase of $2.7 billion statewide. This, for the first time ever, finally, and this is something that all of you have been fighting for as well, finally fully funds foundation aid. Foundation aid is the court mandated amount of funding that New York State was supposed to give in the state budget in order to provide, excuse me, in order to provide all kids with a sound basic education. That has never been fully funded until this year. So I thank Governor Hochul for including it in her budget proposal. We in the legislature are certainly going to follow through with passing that. But you know, here's the conundrum, right? It's the same proposal. The budget proposal includes the $2.7 billion for foundation aid, and it includes the policy, excuse me, the policy change of eliminating the New York City charter school cap. So this is why it's going to be a little bit of a fight. I'm going to try to strip out the provision about charter schools as quickly as possible so that when it comes time to vote, I and my colleagues in the legislature are not faced with this ridiculous choice of voting yes or no on a budget that we want because of the $2.7 billion of additional foundation aid, a budget proposal that we don't want because of the elimination of charters of the charter school cap. I could keep going on, but I think I'll stop here. I think Adriana from District 28 has her hand up. Shirley, you want to take the questions or you want me to just call on people? I don't see Shirley. You want to just go, Adriana?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was speaking and y'all couldn't hear me. I forgot to unmute myself.
Oh,
I'm sorry about that. But yes, Adriana have the floor. I will assist you with the questions. And Adriana is going to ask, and then followed by District 6, Luis Camilo.
Thank you both. Senator Liu, just to get back to what you were speaking on originally and then circled back to yourself. We know that the charters have to have an authorizer. And a few years ago, Eva Moskowitz of the Success Academies franchise changed her authorizer from the Board of Regents to SUNY. And though it was a very smart move, how do we stop that from happening in the future by other educational franchise operators?
So there's essentially two places you can get a charter authorization from: the Board of Regents, which is synonymous with the State Education Department, and then SUNY, the State University of New York, can separately authorize new charter schools. This is dead wrong. It is something that has to change. It was a huge loophole that at the time Governor Pataki put in at the very last minute to get the charter school law in, and we need to reverse that. I do have proposed legislation to give the final say to the State Education Department / Board of Regents. Look, I have nothing against SUNY. I'm a SUNY graduate, but they got their hands full dealing with the colleges and universities. What does SUNY know about elementary school, middle school, and high school education? They're not involved in it one bit, except the fact that Pataki put this loophole in at the very last minute. So we're trying to remove SUNY from having this final authorization power and put it back where it belongs, which is in the State Education Department.
Thank you. I'm gonna let Luis ask his questions, and then I'm gonna go to the chat. There's quite a bit of questions in the chat.
Sure. Thank you for always being, so informative and fighting for the kids in the state of New York. So, Senator Liu, I just wanted to know, some years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, I believe that, I'm a member of CC6, and we were looking for the DOE to prevent the charters from using the mailing address of the parents to then solicit and just, the kids to, the parents to enroll the kids in the charters. I get this all the times. And how do we stop that? Because if I want to put my kid in the charter, I don't need them selling me leaflets to my house. I could just do it on my own. But how do we, it's wasting cardboard and all that. But is that legal for them to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to look into why private entities like organizations that are looking to start or actually already run charter schools are privy to parent mailing lists. Sujin from my office is in the Zoom with us, so I want to ask Sujin to put that down. We got to follow up with the DOE as to why those mailing lists are provided. And Jan Atwell is a super expert in these matters too. Maybe Jan, you want to follow up from Councilmember Joseph's office as well.
Thank you. So one question, I am skipping the protocol, but from the YouTube, how can we find where the zombie charter schools are located?
Good question. I don't even know exactly where the zombies are. That's something that if you want, send me an email and we'll ask the State Education Department for the exact location of those zombie charter schools. My understanding is that they haven't been operating for many years, so it's not like they were recently inactivated. They've been inactive for quite a while now. Email address is Sujin, can you help me post the email address?
Yeah, Sujin will type it in the chat.
Yeah.
Can you explain the relevance of this distinction, SUNY versus the Board of Regents? Versus
as far as I'm concerned, there is no relevance. SUNY should not be in the business of starting, primary, secondary, middle and secondary schools. They got their hands full with the colleges and universities. There is no relevance whatsoever, except that it was a last-minute loophole that Pataki put in. Now think about this. State Education Department, first of all, in the legislature, along with the governor, we passed the state education budget. Then the State Education Department has to figure out how to allocate that to all the school districts. There's like 900 school districts around the state. Obviously, New York City DOE is by far the biggest school district. But you know, in the past, the Board of Regents / State Education Department, they have denied charters because local school districts said we don't want the charters because they're going to create financial strain on our local school funding. SUNY, on the other hand, doesn't even pay attention to those kinds of concerns because, like, they have no skin in the game. They're not even part of the budget process for public schools or charter schools. So they can say yes to everything and there's no impact on them whatsoever. It just does not make sense. I mean, you know, one thing you can all do is write letters to the governor and ask her to, you know, get rid of this loophole. I call it a loophole that you drive 10 school buses through.
If I just might clarify my question. That wasn't my question.
You have to raise your, wasn't her question? Give me a second.
That was not
we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Give me a second, Nancy. So I'll allow Nancy to clarify her question because that was her question in the chat, but that's how it was written. But I will also want to say that when we're done, can you tell us, someone asked, tell us how to support you in your advocacy for this bill as well. But Nancy, clarify your questions.
I'm so sorry. My question was even more basic than that. So what we're saying is that we were allowing SUNY to authorize schools to be created. Is that what that means by SUNY versus Board of Regents? Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Charter schools.
Right.
And specifically, you know, an organization trying to create a charter school could go to the Board of Regents, and the Board of Regents could say no, and then they go to SUNY, and SUNY says yes. That's what happened. And now the word is that Board of Regents are going to be much harder on these charter applications. So somehow all the charter applications now know that they should just go straight to SUNY. That's what's happened. It's crazy.
Thank you. And I'm sorry about that. Veronica, you have your hands up. You're next.
Thank you, Shirley. Basically, it's like a piggyback off of what the other young lady said. What we experience, what can we do to have this behavior stop? What support do you need? Because as you know, most times the parents have a better leverage than DOE staff. So that was what my question. Thank you so much, Shirley, for allowing me to ask.
Thank you, no problem, Veronica.
So I'll answer more clearly that please write letters to the governor and write separate letters to the governor. One letter would state that you believe the SUNY charter authorization should be eliminated, that the charter authorizations should only be in the hands of the Board of Regents. And the other issue, the other letter that we could use is in opposition to eliminating the New York City charter school cap. And you can address these to the governor. You can send me a copy of the letter also. You can send them to this New York State Senate in general, and all the senators will get a copy. But that would be important. And if you could do it on behalf of yourself, but also talk with your respective districts to see if there's a resolution that could be passed on either or both of these questions from your CEC. And if CPAC is able to issue a letter on either or both of these questions, that would be great also.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands up.
I see you, Shirley. I see you now.
Well, yeah, I'm using two different. I'm using audio on the iPad, which
got it.
Doesn't have my, and then I'm actually, you can see me on the other one with the Black History background. I see an essay in there into the chat. Give me 1 second. Senator Lou is right. SUNY. Okay, Luis, can you just say what you said in the chat, please?
Sure.
Instead of read it word for word.
Yeah, I've been a CC member since July 2017, and that year, I believe it was 9/11. It was like on a Monday. There was a quick hearing where parents could oppose the creation of Zeta charters, and so they gave us no notification, and then it was approved. The DOE has a committee that does that, and then the following October, the following month, we went to, I think, 55th Street. They have the SUNY committee is there, and we went there with then candidate Senator Jackson, who was, I supported him for the seat, and it was the year before he was elected as senator. And so they let him speak, but they didn't let any of the parents voice the opposition at the big hearing room. They're very, they basically don't look down at parents. But anyway, they are always approving charters, and they never listen to parents. So I think, if I have to write a letter, I'll do that, because it should just be, the border regions, should be the ones doing this, not them. And now some of these charters, they keep expanding. Now they have two schools in the district, and they're going to keep adding in more and more. Once they're there, they can keep adding. But you cannot have a new application in the district. So thank you for you too, Senator.
Thank you, Luis, for summarizing the paragraph. District 10 is also on board. They're saying that the same issue as SUNY as well. And so to those whose districts, you go back to your constituents, have that conversation, and pass those resolutions, position letters, again, strengthening those partnerships with the education councils so they can write resolutions as well. And thank you, Luis, for that. And anyone else? We have Senator Lou here. Any other questions? It doesn't have to be about charter, but okay, so we got a question. You got it? You see it? Is the limit on charters not, you have to leave? There's a limit on charters, not on the real number, but on the licenses.
There's different types of licenses out there. I'm not sure what it is, but the charter is a contract. It's an agreement with the state that allows an organization to run a school, a school that is essentially privately run, but that is eligible for taxpayer dollars. That's what a charter is. Someone in the chat, I don't see it now, but someone in the chat said that some of these charters are now able to keep increasing the number of grades that they cover. So what used to be an elementary school now suddenly can have a middle school and a high school. And so essentially all these charters are now what used to require 3 separate charters. And there's definitely truth in that. That's a loophole that we have to close also. I will say that, there's always a lot of animosity directed against Eva Moskowitz. Look, Eva Moskowitz is a successful charter operator, and she's going to keep doing more of what she's allowed to do under the law. It's a matter of us having to change it, and that requires getting to the governor.
Thank you. And Jan has her hand up from Rita Joseph's office.
Yeah, thanks. But actually, I just want to clarify. First of all, Shirley, I'm not really from Rita Joseph's office.
I'm sorry.
I am on the central staff. I'm policy analyst for the education committee. So whoever is the chair. But John was terrific when he was in the council on the education committee, and he's still terrific today. I did want to clarify that, a charter, once it's granted, that charter operator can open a school from one charter grant on each level, elementary, middle, and high school. They often do that. Also, some of you know that Success Academy was slated for Queens, was recently defeated. And it was supposed to be an elementary school in 3 sites, in 3 different schools, actually 2 sites in Queens and 1 in the Bronx for the same charter. Okay, and as an elementary. So you see how they've been getting around, these restrictions already. And I also want to remind people that New York City is the only district that is required to either provide free space to charters or pay for part of their rent in a private space. So that's a distinction that we would rather not have and would love to see that repealed.
Yeah, and Jan, you may recall also, because you were the person I always had to get information from when I was a member of the education committee in the city council. I think that was an agreement that Bloomberg agreed to, because
yes,
he wanted more charters. A lot of
Yeah.
these charter issues came from the Bloomberg administration. He wanted more charters, and the state balked at it. And then so he made the deal that, okay, the city would pay for the space.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Yeah. Shirley, I'm going back into a budget hearing now. You can watch me live if you guys really are super bored. But I'm happy to come with you to your meetings anytime you have questions or have complaints from me. All right.
Will do. Thank you so much. So much for coming, taking the time out. We'll have you back.
Thanks so much.
Have a good one. Thank you, and good luck on your budget committee. And thank you for all the work you have done and taking the time out to speak to us.
Thank you for all the work you and all the members have done. And I got to give a shout out to my local parent, Kathy Grotsky. She's an amazing super mom.
Good to see you, John. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Jan, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Could you just clarify who you are again?
Sure. I am the Senior Policy Analyst for the Education Committee and the City Council.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I also wanted to, I forgot earlier to say that, in addition, it's great if individuals and organizations write letters to the governor and all of that. If people don't have the time or they want another alternative, there are several petitions against raising the charter cap for New York City that are out there. Network for Public Schools has one, and Class Size Matters, Laney has one that people can sign on to very, very easily and quickly.
Thank you. So yeah, and the legislative committee, that was the other resolution they wanted us to vote on, but they need to work a little bit more on it. So CPAC legislative committee is actually already working on that, on a position letter to have membership to review and vote on it as well. So that is in the works as well.
Terrific. You can send that to us at the City Council. Send it to me and I'll make sure the chair, everybody gets it.
Awesome. Thank you. So at this time, while we have Jan here too, any questions regarding education for the City Council, she could pass along as well. Otherwise, we're going to start wrapping up our meeting. Any questions for her? And if you have any questions that you think of for any of the speakers that was here, okay, Adriana has her hands up. Adriana?
Thank you, and thank you, Jan. I have a question surrounding 3K and pre-K. I wrote it down here to be sure. So in advance of this meeting, we were asked to consider admissions policy. So this question is written to reflect that perspective. However, the general question is whether or not it's possible to apply the process that parents and families engage in with respect to the IEP and CPSE supports for their children and for students, if the process that is followed for K through 12 could be applied to pre-K and 3K. In our district, I've heard from at least 4 parents now that they have struggled getting an evaluation for their child, and 2 specifically just yesterday discussing how the process for this evaluation started for them in September, and now in February they're still at step 1 simply because they are unable to get an appointment or meet with someone in order to start the evaluation process. So is it possible to make pre-K as easy as kindergarten through 12 by adopting and applying the K through 12 process?
Well, if that's for me, I mean, DOE has total control over that. We had a hearing recently on the admissions processes for all levels. And unfortunately, the council is preempted by state law. We cannot force them to do anything other than so-called reporting bills, which they can report information. So we have a lot of data that we get from them, but it is totally within DOE's purview to do that. And so I would urge you to, the next time the chancellor is on, push for that clearly. And again, when the discussion was had earlier, that question to the chancellor about 3K, and somebody put in the chat, and it's very true that, one reason why there's not, while there are seats that are not being taken is because they're not extended day, and parents really need the extended day. So those are things that, I would urge you to push, with the chancellor.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Anything else? Okay, I am going to, okay, Maria, District 10, you have your hands up?
Hello, everyone. I'm so sorry. My camera is just acting up, so I'm not going to be able to turn it on. Thank you for giving me the time. So there's one thing that I wanted to bring up that has been a conversation for the past couple of weeks. I think we need to address a concern when scheduling not only the state exams, but in this case, also the candidates forum for our district. For the students, considering the month of Ramadan as well, which is one whole month of holy fasting for the Muslim community. During this period is 30 days from sunrise to sunset where they are fasting, especially the last 10 days, and most importantly, the days where, because of their religions, they have to really put set time aside, and they have to be waking up super late just to be ahead to be able to pray, eat breakfast well, ready to go. And this year the ELA's exams are falling on April 19th and April 20th, which is right after Easter, right after spring break, but it is during the Ramadan month. Last year was pretty similar. The state exam for math also fell on the month of Ramadan. So I don't know what and who, and I mean, I know some of these answers too, but I think we really need to take into consideration for the Muslim community, especially here in District 10, we have a growing population, that these long hours of the day or even holding exams during this time, it's a disrespect and it's inconsiderate. We do it for every other holiday, and we don't schedule testing on any other holiday. So why do this now? And this is just one thing that I wanted to bring up and make sure that it's on record for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so Christina in the chat says she will lift it up, that your concerns regarding to the state exams and being scheduled regarding the Muslim population as well. And thank you for raising that up. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. So our next CPAC meeting is going to be Thursday, March 9th. Again, as we celebrate Black History Month, reflections of what we do. I know the school system, but Black history is everyday history, American history. We need to keep that in mind as well and reflect, in reflection. I would hope one of these days that American history, AIPA, the Hispanic, Indigenous people, all those histories is American history, and they will go more into detail in the regular curriculum, because I think when we separate them, that creates more of a separation, because it is American history and the views and perspectives should be put together. But we need to know, especially in New York City, our diversity is our strength. And we need to know and respect everyone's culture and origins and how all the immigrants, because we're all immigrants, may shape this country, what it is now. And it's going to take all of us to shape it where we want it to be. I didn't want to go there, but I went there. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. For those who celebrate Valentine's Day. And then we have President's Day coming up. So we're gonna help be happy President's Day and enjoy that winter recess for those who actually have a break. That is my birthday. Happy birthday, Christina, early, you know. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining today for CPAC meeting, and hopefully we'll see you next month. And in between, please be engaged. We all know that the work is done off camera, behind the scenes. So all questions, concerns, continue to send them in. And so the New York City Public Schools will have answers to the questions or concerns that you have. So thank you for coming, everyone. Thank you for our guest speakers that was here today. And enjoy the rest of your week and look forward, enjoy your winter recess. Good day, everybody. And thank you for coming.
Motion to end the meeting.
Oh yeah, see, thank you, Jimmy. See, that's why we have Jimmy here. So who would like to make it official to bring this meeting to an adjournment? Well, I'm going to say Jimmy made a motion. Who seconds it?
I second it. Oh, seconds. Okay.
Okay, so 15, 6, and 13 all second that, and 4. Thank you so much. The time now is 12:26, and good day.
Thank you, Shirley. Great.